welcome to this is Inside the Music, our first interview for 2018. We've got Scorn of Creation. We've got Chris and Seth.
Hey.
Well, tell us about yourselves. How did this all start?
Well, the band started with me and the bassist George. We a couple of years back, we were like, man, there's a bit of a gap in the scene. You know, there's something that I think needs to be filled. A genre that people used to do, which is just traditional kind of death metal and riff-driven stuff, live music, and it was done maybe early 2000s, like with bands like Demiurge and Backyard Burial, that kind of thing. But in recent years, there's kind of been a bit of a gap, bit of a kind of hole in that genre. So we were like, we've got to get something good together, put something out to really fill that and play what we want to hear. So over time, over the couple of years, we had Chris in mind and the drummer Sean in mind as well, and just kind of spent a few years kind of refining what we wanted to do and finding the people to do it. And through 2017, recorded an album and promoted it, and then just played our debut show recently.
Yeah. So how did your debut show go?
It was sweet. 150 through the door. It's pretty good for there's two first-time bands. What was our first gig? It was Dark Divinity's first gig.
Two first gigs.
And then we had Silent Torture from Auckland come down and order a Get Terror.
It was a great show.
Yeah, it was really cool. Crowd reacted really well. Heaps of merch went out. So a lot of Scorn t-shirts walking the streets, which is really good.
Yeah, about 32 Scorn shirts wandering around Wellington. From that, and then there was pre-orders before, so it's pretty nuts.
But yeah, we did a pretty strong sort of self-promotion drive leading up to it, and then with the signing, it just sort of built up from there. And yeah, it was a good response. It's cool.
Way better than expected, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I did do a quick little Google search on you guys earlier, and it is all very recent, a lot of the stuff that I found, so you're promoting it very heavily.
It's been the last 6 months we've pushed everything, and lots happened in that time. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Technically only been around that long, so
it's
just been going. Yeah.
First riff was written in 2008.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it for a while.
Not for the project though, but I kind of pulled it from the past.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
And I hear you've charted?
yeah.
So we just got word about an hour ago. So it's number 3 in the top 20 New Zealand charts, and that's overall. So technically the pop charts, and then number 18 in the top 40. So that's I think we're just above Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, beat out Lord and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
It was basically the album debuted at number 3 in the overall charts, and in New Zealand that was pretty hard out because apparently that's a record burst for New Zealand. For a New Zealand extreme metal band.
Yeah, extreme metal.
Yeah, which is amazing for a debut and amazing for a band that's been around for pretty much just under a year.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm really stoked about it.
Do you have any idea? Is it because you guys are filling that gap in the market that become so popular?
I think from what I've heard from people who've reviewed the album, a couple of things I've read and my peers and people like that, is that basically the genre is what a lot of people have wanted to hear. The style of music, the album, it's kind of reminiscent of a older style of death metal, but it's got a new flair and a new flavour. It's just nice to listen to. It's like really riff driven and it's quite catchy and shit like that. So people are just like, I've been waiting for it, man. That's what I want to hear. And live, people buzzed out, and I think that's pretty much why it's catching on. It's just something that people have wanted for a while.
I think at the moment seems to be a pretty solid lineup of, especially death metal in New Zealand.
Yeah, the genre itself is kind of
actually a really solid amount of bands coming out that they all have a really good, more international sound. Production's up, and I think that's something that's been lacking in New Zealand metal for quite a while. There's a lot of underproduced albums, and they just sort of never have that sort of, that big sound that I think most people look for when they think about what's good and what's new in extreme metal. And us and obviously the bands we played with last night at Cattle, Organic Me and stuff like that, all have really awesome sounds, and yeah, it just seems to be a really good time for it. I think people seem to be a bit more, I don't know, they're a bit hungry for it. There seems to be a bit of drive. and then the crowds are showing that by coming out to gigs, and you know, it's cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, massive turnouts.
It's always a good thing. Yeah. So you guys recorded the album yourselves?
Yeah, we between the drummer Sean and myself, we actually he recorded the drums at his house. He's got like a home studio set up similar to where we're at the moment, and he recorded that all himself after we sent through the songs to a click track, particular tempos, and he recorded that really quickly, nailed them out, sent it all through to us in a couple of weeks. Awesome. Told him what we needed to fix up a little bit, and he sent that back through again, and then at home, after we got them back, I recorded the guitar, the bass and the drums, and vocals. Sorry, I'll start that again. We, back home at mine, we recorded the guitar, bass and vocals, and got a couple of features, Jolene Tempest from Bullabout, and also got Carnal vocalist Dan Burrell to do a feature on the album as well. So we did all that at home, yeah, just at my little kind of mini studio next to my bed in my bedroom. And just tried to go for a really raw sound, man. Like, just pushed out something that was, I mean, I even used a real kind of semi-low-end guitar to record the rhythm tracks and stuff like that. Just really wanted to get that essence of rawness, and so we did decide to go with ourselves and go internal. And we've got a few offers to do mastering and stuff like that, but we opted for saving a bit of money, and what would naturally, I think, capture that raw sound was just us doing it ourselves, producing it ourselves, mixing, mastering it ourselves, and completely just releasing it in-house. It really came out well, I think, and I think that's the reason why. Pretty much why we decided to do it.
Alright, so one of the differences I've found, like, listening to the album, there's a lot, you know, the vocals don't cover the entire song. Like, you've got guitar solos where you can actually hear the guitar playing, and it sounds great. Like, is that part of the sound that you guys are trying to create? Like, is that one of the main things?
Yeah, vocally. So when I write, like, they were sending me the tracks once they'd sort of done the guitar and drum sort of rough cut, put it together, and then they were sending me what they'd recorded, and I'd go to the pub and put my headphones on and sit there and write. And yeah, I think in 2 years, it's been about 20 years since my first band, and as a vocalist, I just feel a bit more considered to what these guys are doing, and I like to also consider where I put my voice in and where I don't, and let the guitars speak for themselves, let the drums speak for themselves. And I think the way I get more power across is when I'm not just covering the whole thing. You know, it's there's a lot of death metal out there that the vocals are just fucking non-stop, and it just blankets everything, and you do lose things, and you don't get any drive or power from, you know, what could be maybe an emotional part or a really powerful moment. You might lose that if you're just constantly barraging.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing of like silence is really loud.
Yeah,
you know, and
so I think sometimes when you don't say anything, you're saying
that's it,
the most. You know, so that's how I came up with it, and I wanted to pretty much tell a story through it. So I think it works pretty well that way.
And that kind of translated to the music as well, in the way where we decided, like as you said, the guitar solos and stuff, to pull the rhythm section back a bit, have the drums kind of relax a little bit, or tie in with the rhythm a bit, so you can hear the phrasing, you can hear the story that the music's telling in a way. So you've got that intense moment, you've got the vocals, you've got the riffs, everything, and then when the solo's there, it's like this is part of the song. It's a song on its own. It's not just some shred on top. And as a guitarist, that's always been my approach to lead playing. Like people like Brian May and Dave Gilmour, you know, Queen, Pink Floyd, and those kind of classics like that. I kind of like to apply that element to death metal lead playing, which is kind of a funny thing. I don't know if a lot of people do it. I'm sure these days there's a little bit more of it. And then that tied in with like classic players like Alex Skonnick from Testament, and then John Labusier from Cryptopsy. That kind of more classical kind of driven, like, and then a bit of jazz elements from bands like the Faceless and stuff like that. So just that kind of more spaced out, a bit more open, a bit more clear, and so the average person, you know, like who's not necessarily into death metal, would still like it. You know? They're still like, that's good. I don't like the genre, but that sounds nice. You know,
Appreciate technicality.
Yeah, and then us as fans, especially live, you know, that big part of it was translating live, having music that when you play a gig, that big note comes out, you know, that big solo comes out, and you're like, I remember that from the album, and it's exactly the same, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easier for us too. So.
Yeah. You guys also have, well, I suppose it's a reasonably short track length, I suppose. You kind of sit between the 2 to 4 minute kind of range.
Yeah.
You get that quite often with, say, punk songs compared to rock, where it's it's a lot shorter, it's sped up, sort of higher intensity speeds. And the vocals do just constantly go, and that's all you're focusing on. Like, is it difficult trying to fit in all those components into a short time, or is that just how the song feels?
That's just how they naturally fell out. Like, basically what we wanted to do was not force either side of it. Like, we didn't want to force anything too long or force anything too short. And I think as a newer band, finding our feet and working together as musicians, the songs kind of came out as they did, and we thought, we'll add a bit extra if we need it, but if something's feeling good and it finishes where it finishes and it feels right, why add extra? What's the point? Just because of this norm or what you think it needs to be. It's like, no, it's going about feel. We're basing it on how the listener's going to feel about it. There are short tracks, and the album's kind of quite short as well. But when you're listening to it, you're like, man, it doesn't feel short because they've got 8 songs. They just kind of go through, and then by the end of it, you're like, man, I should listen to that again. That was cool. And that's kind of the approach. Yeah, it's like just what felt right. And that's kind of how we do most of what we do, just through the feel, and then refine it, and then add all the extra bits. Because I've done another thing where I've written longer ones and added parts and done it because of what might theoretically or technically work or sound like or look like the right thing you should do. And I just think it's a detriment to the music. So yeah, the track listing's shorter, and as we're playing, we are getting longer songs slowly, and some of the ones later on are getting towards 4 minutes. And once again, it's that raw approach. We wanted that element of what I call punk bands, but without the sound necessarily, but just that poor punchiness, that short kind of opening band set where you just get smacked in the face and then, that was awesome. Go away talking about that band, You don't get bored. You're not watching them live going, wait, when's the main act on,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was a lyrical thing that I tried to do as well. So, because I wrote this technically as a concept album, so it was one story over the whole 8 songs, and partly the reason I did that was because we're doing shorter tracks, and instead of trying to tell a story in 2 minutes, it seemed like I could branch it out and use a version of each song differently, and say something that sort of covers the entire thing, which worked pretty well. Not many people read the lyrics yet. But
no, we're going to re-release it later down the track as a vinyl, and then we'll include the lyric sheet at that point.
Yeah, totally. But it was quite interesting writing it that way, and having a shorter track list, shorter song times.
I think it worked really well with the concept, and that's why we decided to go self-titled as well, because the name of the band kind of inspired the concept, and then so that concept, it made sense to just have it as this is Scorn of Creation, the concept is Scorn of Creation, the art is Scorn of Creation, and that whole album feel, everything, it's that one thing. It all ties together really nicely.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, this is the band, like Queensryche. The first one's Queen of the Reich. Yeah. Like, this is our band name. Cheesy as shit, but great band.
Yeah, great band.
Alright. Yeah. So, tell me about your guest vocals on the album. Is there any reason why you picked who you picked and for which songs?
Yeah, well, the reason we picked them was we wanted to get 1 or 2 other people on there. It was quite early in the process as well, and the reason for that was people in the scene who have helped us and people we've played with and stuff like that, and I'd been in a band with Jolene from Bullet Bout before as well, so it was just a chance to get those people who I've wanted to have on stuff, myself personally as well, and also people I thought fit the stylistic parts of those 2 songs, which was Dante for Jolene and Rebirth. Rebirth for Dan Brill. But yeah, so the choices for them was more or less musically based. But so Jolene had this part that was kind of a black metal part, like a little bit of a change in feel throughout the song before heading back into this more kind of groovy riff. And Burl's part was like when we had this one kind of part at an end of the song that was just a little bit different than most of our stuff, a bit more crazy and maybe slammy, like what Carnal are like. So I was like, let's get Carnal vocalist Dan, man. And he's always been a nice guy, he's always helped, he's always been around and been a good dude, so got him in for that, and it just worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Tell us about the vocals. How difficult is it to do this growl?
It's not difficult now. yeah, I've been doing it for quite a long time, almost 20 years. But in saying that, this was the first project I've been in since 2013, and the fact that we came into this going straight into recording basically, and not rehearsing a lot.
But didn't put any pressure on him at all. No.
No. So I essentially walked into the studio and we started recording, and I did it fresh without really practicing. So it was, yeah, that caused a bit of strain.
You were finding your feet through the first song you recorded, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it, like, you get used to it really quick, and you know, a couple of gigs is like, you know, I'm back hitting my super highs and super lows, and yeah, it's just, you know, it's like anything. I mean, I learnt traditionally to sing. I'm not a very good singer, but what that did is it helped me work out my breathing and using my diaphragm and all those things. So I'm not just screeching with my throat and burning myself out after a song, you know. And you can't have that. Obviously, if you're doing something as extreme as this, then you know, you're going to cause long-term damage if you're not doing it properly, and, you know, whatever properly is. But using the right techniques and stuff, and actually just sort of giving yourself time to get into it and warm up. And so yeah, it's fine now. I don't notice it. You know, first few jams, you know, I almost lost my voice a couple of times, but
Yeah.
not anymore. Yeah, it's cool though. Yeah, it's,
I get it. Yeah, well, I mean, I do the backing live as well. So as far as what he's saying, it's very similar. Like, kind of got some traditional training stuff. I do a lot of clean singing stuff. So we both.
he actually has a good singing voice though.
Really?
We both do it through the diaphragm. We both push it. So it's actually quite a nice thing, quite an intense thing to hear live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard necessarily. It's more just, it's like, the way I describe it, it's like really physical. So it's like if you're going for a run or you're lifting a heavy weight. Yeah, it's something like this. It's kind of like lifting weights. Yeah, something you do and you're really pushing it. You know, it'd be like singing, but the whole time you're singing, you're yelling at the top of your lungs. So it's quite intense. Yeah.
But, yeah, I think both of us have fairly powerful, but quite a bit of drive behind our voices. So yeah, I noticed. It was our debut gig. Yeah, when I first went up sound checking, I was instantly clipping, and
Yeah.
it was, yeah, the last few bands had quite quiet singers, so they cranked up the
sound guy
mics
was
and
like,
then
"Whoa."
made it that level, and then I went in and it sounded like the shit was going to blow up. So
It's actually the same with the feature Jolene too. She was
Yeah,
the same,
she's-
every time
she's
sound guy's just like, wow. So all the vocal we got on the album and live and stuff, that's all really quite powerful stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
So has vocals always been your thing?
Yeah, because I can't play any instrument.
Can't play an instrument? No?
I wish. I tried to learn guitar when I was 8. It didn't take. But,
I tried when I was young too, and then I moved on, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to do this.
yeah. No, when I was about 15, 16, I went to my mate's. My mate had a party and his band played, and after they'd finished, everyone started sort of jumping on the instruments and jamming, and jamming in metal, but it's still jamming. And I just drunkenly got on the microphone and started screeching like an idiot, and then got asked to join the band. So that's how that happened.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it's just continued from there, and obviously you refine, you get better, and take a lot of influence from different people to a certain extent, and try and actually be dynamic. I think is something that I like to do. Death metal can be pretty one-dimensional, so take a bit of influence from black metal and even like almost black metal bands like Cradle of Filth and things like that to get some weirder, higher pitched things going on, and then try and be slightly different. But it's been a pretty long road of change and all that stuff. Yeah.
What about you, Seth? What you got started in your music?
When I was in my mum's belly when she was pregnant, first band I heard was Iron Maiden through her stomach, apparently. But
Do you remember that?
I don't know if I don't want to remember it. It'd be, darkness and then horribleness. But I started off listening to old classics like Thin Lizzy and Fleetwood Mac and all these kind of like traditional like old kind of the rock kind of / metal bands from the 70s and 80s and stuff because of my parents. It was just around me, and then so I didn't really show an interest in much until as I got a bit older. I was always tapping tables and stuff, and the teachers were like, oh, this kid's actually not terrible at that. So yeah, so they even put it in my report. It was like, Seth sucks at everything, but he taps really well on tables. So I was like, oh, that's kind of. I remember reading that and being like, it's kind of cool. Like, I might
pursue that.
Yeah, I might pursue that. So I started drumming in high school. It was a little bit later I decided to do it because I picked up guitar when I was about 9 or 10, and even a little bit later I just could not physically do it. I was like, what is that? Fuck that. And then as I picked up the drums, I played drums for a couple of years, and I actually got pretty good. Played in a band around Wellington for a little while, and founded a band called Human Butchery, which was my first death metal band, actually. And I was playing drums in that. And that was actually what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a kind of branding of that, but something so much more. It's good. So yeah, I started that off, and then a little bit down the track, I was like, I kind of want to write music, I don't want to just play the drums. I got these ideas and stuff, so I picked up the guitar again, and I was like, oh, I can kind of do that this time. All right, something had changed, and so I was fucking around on that, and I used to just have it on all the time. So I'd walk around the house. Take a piss, playing the guitar, like, did the dishes, playing the guitar. Had a fight with my brother. He punched me in the face while I was playing the guitar. It was good. And then I remember went to school and I said to my music teacher, I was like, I know I've been playing drums for a couple of years and doing that stuff, because I was gigging for about 17, 16, 17. And then I said, oh, I kind of want to start playing guitar as well, or instead. And he went, stick to the drums, man, and walked off. And I was like, screw you, man, I'm going to prove you wrong. And yeah, pretty much from that moment, I just kept going, and then was like, I'm going to make a band, so I just made my own bands. I was like, nobody's going to get me in a band. I've been playing guitar for a year. So I did that, and then I got, about a year later, playing for about 2 years, I ended up getting hired in this like Pantera covers band. And I was like, I'll do that. Nowhere near the ability level to do it. And so I remember I sat in a room, and I was like, what have I done? What have I got myself into? So I just practiced everything and went hard, and I think concentrated, practiced it until I could only just do it. And then played gigs with that band, and as playing gigs through that band for about a year or so, I went from like here to like here just because I had to do it. And and then from then on, the rest has just been practice over the years and slowly working to get a band like my original Human Butchery band, but I'm on guitar, and it's the kind of music I want to be playing, and so I'm finally there, which is awesome. Like my whole musical life up until this point has been building up to doing something I actually want to do, and it's finally there, which is cool. But yeah, getting started, it was totally drums. Then moved on to guitar.
Yeah. So with all the promotion and everything that's going on at the moment, and you guys been building up to this debut album, what happens now? It's all been released. You've done your first show's live.
Yeah, and then we opened for Cattle Decapitation. Pretty much our plan from here is we've got a couple of slots coming up, some things in the works for a few other internationals, possibly around New Zealand. We want to work on a tour to tour the vinyl. We want to release vinyl of the album. So kind of we've released the CDs, we've sold a lot of them, enough to chart at 3rd place, and so yeah, we just want to get the product we wanted to do originally, the product we want to get out there, which is vinyl, the artwork we want, and just tour that, get that out to people, and then focus on overseas probably after that. So open for a few internationals, do a tour of the major cities, and then have a look overseas. We've got a lot of interest coming from the States already, so yeah.
And
pretty,
be good to get some new music.
Well, that's
I'm
another
already
part,
starting to get itchy.
Oh yeah,
maybe it's time to do something new.
A little leap. There might be an extra track on the vinyl when we release it. You could do something like that. So a little bit more incentive to get it.
All you do is get a vinyl in a different colour, and then everyone will buy it regardless.
Oh yeah, no, well, that's what he wants to do. Like
it's happening.
Big splash.
I'm not even taking.
I want black. I want white
taking those.
He's just going to do it.
Yeah, I'm taking
do
over
it.
market.
Yeah. hit the label up and be like, this is done, pay me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like,
I love
I'll
vinyl.
buy it.
Yeah, I want my own fucking vinyl. I'm like, I'm pumped for it.
And the cover of the album, the whole idea for the vinyl thing, is the cover of the album was always seen as like a vinyl cover, like an old classic vinyl cover. That's why it's a central figure. It's a nice piece of artwork, no logo. It's just bang like that. And then it's got where you fold it out like a vinyl, and it's got the logo on the back of the track listing, and that's what we wanted. So yeah, it's definitely the focus for the near future.
All right. So
Yeah, no, I mean, album's out on through Dead Boy Universal.
Yeah, that's a good one. The plug is good.
Yeah, and there's up on our Facebook and through Dead Boy, there's t-shirts and CDs and merch coming out, and it's all looking pretty cool. And obviously, we want to try and keep the momentum going with, we've hit the ground running, so it'd be cool to keep momentum going. And
Yeah, that's the one.
if we can get more cats into it and buying stuff, and even if it's listening on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, then it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, so that's a big one. If we're going to add anything else to this, just albums on Spotify, albums on iTunes. It's
Apple Music.
available. Yeah, and Apple Music, which is streaming, which is good. And available through Dead Boy Records. So it's like deadboy.com, deadboyrecords.com. And you can get t-shirts, CDs, all that kind of stuff. So it's all there, ready to go.
yeah,
all right, sweet. Well, tthank you for coming and having a chat with us.
thanks, man.
Good, cheers for doing it.
Yeah, appreciate it.